Hello, friends. I'm Reverend Cher, and I want to welcome you to Sacred Awakenings and to our Sunday gathering. So happy to see you here. Today we're blessed to have Reverend Nicole Losie as our speaker. Her talk today is titled The Ebb and Flow of Life. And for our music, we welcome back Dave Sams. Now, if you'd like to watch this presentation again, or if you'd like to invite friends to see it, you can access it through one of several ways. First, if you become a member of Sacred Awakenings, we just have a wonderful members website network where you will find all of our Sunday talks in the archives and really so much more. You'll be connected to upcoming offerings, events, and of course our private members page. You can also find links on YouTube and on Facebook, so you can listen to all the talks that way, or wherever you can listen, wherever you get your podcasts. Now, after our talk today, we invite you to stay on. This is a time when we sort of digest and reflect on the message and speak directly to the presenter if we wish, ask questions, and perhaps share or just listen to others and what they may have experienced. And may this be a time of awakening, sacred awakening for you. So taking a deep breath and quieting our minds for today's wisdom, may you have a sacred awakening. Welcome, Reverend Nicole.
Down by the river, the water's running low as I wander underneath the trees. In the park outside of town, the leaves turn brown and yellow now are falling on the ground. Remembering the way you felt beside me here when love was new. That feeling's just grown stronger since I fell in love with you. Now we've only got these times we're living in. We've only got these times we're living in. Winter wood piled on the porch, walnuts scattered on the ground, wood smoke rising to the sky. An old man comes home from work and hugs his wife in a sweat-stained shirt and steps through that door where it's warm inside. And I'm walking as the wind rustles through the fallen leaves, my footsteps picking out a tune my heart sings silently. How we've only got these times we're living in. We've only got these times we're living in. See the roses dried and faded, the tall trees carved and painted with long forgotten lovers' names. The old car standing empty, a dog's barking at me as I wander through the quiet streets the same. If I could, I'd tell you now, there are no roads that do not bend. Days like flowers bloom and fade, and they do not come again. Now we've only got these times we're living in. We've only got these times we're living in. We've only got these times we're living in. We've only got these times we're living in.
Let's set our intention for today at Sacred Awakenings. Coming together, we create a collective divine heartbeat. We affirm truth and peace abide here. We gather to remember and recognize the divine mystery within. And in our sacred circle, we honor the awakenings of each spirit who enters.
Aramaic Lord's Prayer, from an ancient text in Aramaic translated directly into English. O birther of the cosmos, focus your light within me, make it useful. Create your reign of unity now. Your one desire then sets as ours. As in all light, so in all forms. Grant us what we need each day in bread and insight. Loose the cords of mistakes binding us as we release the strands we hold of others' guilt. Do not allow surface things to delude us, but free us from what holds us back. From you is born all ruling will, the power and the life to do, the song that beautifies all. From age to age it renews. I affirm this with my whole being.
Hi, everybody. It's Rev Nicole. Today's talk is called The Ebb and Flow of Life. And this came about because I was contemplating the seasons, contemplating changes and transformation throughout life, the expansion and contraction, and also my yoga practice and how it really supports bringing balance into everything we do. And so I think of the constant that is change as ebb and flow. You can also think of it as the cosmic breath, the expansion and contraction of the cosmic breath. There are lots of different ways to look at it: light and shadow, light and dark, the light side, the golden side, the shadow side. Lots of ways to look at it. But today's discussion is about the ebb and flow of life. And ebb and flow, we understand, has to do with the tides, and it has to do with the flow being the water coming in to the shore, and the ebb is the water going away. And also as the flood rises and it lowers, that's the flow and the ebb as well. So the ebb and flow of life. We have lots of different aspects of our lives. We have our social lives, we have our work lives, we have our home lives, we have our health lives, our spiritual health lives, our financial lives, and we can be in flow or in ebb in each of these areas differently all at the same time. So we all understand and have experienced how we can be in the flow of productivity. We're in our work, whether it's schoolwork or homework or, our jobs or our housework or whatever the work is we're doing, whatever we're putting forth effort into, we can be in flow, and everything productivity wise just seems to be in place. And everything that we need just happens to come at the right time. And we're meeting our deadlines and we're making our plans and we're seeing everything through and it's working wonderfully. We can be in flow in our personal lives. It's like our home life feels really good. Everything we need is right at just a hand's reach. And our friends are there, our family members are there, everyone's getting along, everything seems to just go easily. We're in flow in our personal lives. Our spiritual life, we might feel connected to God and we can feel God's presence right there with us at all times. Just a prayer, reaching out, a meditation, drawing in, it just all works. And the flow brings about so many wonderful gifts. And thinking about it in terms of the water, the tide will bring in wonderful surprises and wonderful gifts. And I just want to point out that the ebb does too. And the ebb is when everything is going away and everything seems quiet. Everything might seem desolate. We might seem like we're struggling in terms of the flow of productivity. We might be in the ebb of productivity where we just have writer's block, or we're struggling to make connections with other people, or we're struggling to follow through on different projects. Whatever that might be. In terms of creativity, we just might be struggling with it. It's like nothing, there's no inspiration. It just seems really difficult. We're struggling. We might be in the ebb in our personal lives. It's just everything is slower. We're in conflict a little bit more often. We struggle with our connections with others. It could be where maybe we don't have motivation or inspiration, desire to be around other people. We just need to be within ourselves, and we have that desire to be alone. And I want to just point out that there isn't any judgment or criticism on any of this at all. Ebb and flow have wonderful gifts. Both of them do. So these are just a few examples of flow, this flow that we seek. I think as spiritual seekers, we often hear about being in the flow. We seek the flow. Like it's a good thing and anything else is not necessarily the best thing. You're out of flow. Okay, how to get back in flow. Wonderful news. You're in flow. You feel the flow. It's happiness, it's peace, it's all of this stuff. But today's topic, I think, is a little bit more about the ebb and the beautiful gifts that come with being in the ebb. And I just want to shine the light on the ebb a little differently. I think, our binary society says it's good or bad, it's right or wrong. You're ebbing or you're flowing, as if they're two opposite sides or two different mutually exclusive things. But ebb and flow go together. They are life. We're talking about the ebb and flow of life. And so when we have moments of ebb, and we all do, in all the various aspects, our health might feel like it's just struggling. Our mind, we might have some brain fog. We might not have the inspiration. We might have that writer's block. As a person who likes to crochet, we and other people who crochet, we talk about our crojo, and our crojo just isn't there. It's an ebb moment in our creativity for what we like to do, and people have it in all different aspects. So The ebb is the time to sit back and reflect and look at what's happening, look at what's there. I think a lot of times we fear the ebb because we perceive that somehow it makes it feel as though something's wrong, something's not right. We're not in the flow, we're struggling, we're kicking, and we're up against ourselves. And while some of that might be true in a sense, if we reframe that and we look at the ebb and say, oh, I think I'm in an ebb right now. And then you stop and you look back and you go, yeah, everything that just seemed to just happen, that flow of manifestation was there, that flow of inspiration was there. And now it just seems like stumbling blocks are happening. We're in an ebb. It's time to step back and reflect and do what I like to call take inventory. Just sit back, take a deep breath, and acknowledge that ebb is just as valid, just as important as flow. And ebb has just as many gifts and blessings as flow. And then embrace the ebb and go, okay, you're here. I'm going to give you a big hug. I'm going to hold you close, and I want to look at you, and I want to see what you have to bring for me today. And thinking along the lines of the water, the tides, the ocean, the rivers, it's the ebb and the flow, right? The flow comes in, the ebb goes away. The flow comes in, the ebb goes away. The tide gets higher, the tide gets lower. Think about it. When the ebb happens and the water goes away, what do we see? We see what's under the surface. The water comes in and it covers, and then it goes. And we get to see the sand. We get to see the soil. We get to see the little animals that live right there at the water line. We get to see the seaweed. We get to see the sea vegetation and whatever else is there, rocks and pebbles and beautiful shells and whatever is at the shoreline. We see it on the ebb. The ebb exposes what's under the flow. And it's just as beautiful and natural and true as the flow. So thinking along that line, embracing the ebb and having a sense of curiosity to say, oh, what's in there? The ebb is here. I'm going to give you a big hug and hold you close. I want to see what you have to show me. Are they beautiful shells? Are they rocks? Are they stones? And you know what? Those stones are polished by the water that comes and goes, the life that comes and goes. It polishes it. Is it soft sand? Is it murky and kind of slimy and weird on your bare feet? You know, is it little animals moving around? Is it a can? Is it a stick? Is it a half buried toy? Who knows? Whatever. What's under there? We need to take inventory, and then the ebb can show us where we need to focus our attention. And if we look at it with that mindset of curiosity, which I believe comes from our deep, strong, true faith in the divine, but our deep, strong, true faith in ourselves and with our spiritual practices, we know we're grounded and we know we're rooted and we know we're safe to be able to courageously say, what's under there? What can you show me? What can I learn from you? What can I perhaps tidy up a little bit? What can I choose to leave here? Because it facilitates the habitat of the little animals that might live there. What can I remove because it might leach chemicals into that environment? If we look at our own environment, our life from that perspective of not just the flow, but the ebb, and we say, this is where my attention gets to focus, and now I have something to do. I know where I can work, and I know where I can create better flow. And the more that we do this, the more that we connect with the ebb and the flow both, we really start to appreciate that it's all life. And we empower ourselves to look at every single aspect with appreciation and joy and peace and curiosity. And we deepen our spiritual practices. We deepen our ability to reflect and intuit and learn and study. And we also discover new things that are there, new practices, things that maybe we left along the way. We dropped something in the water and we totally forgot about it. And years later, we happen to be paying attention to the ebb and we look down and say, oh, there's the set of keys I have been struggling to find. Those keys might be new reflections. Those keys might be new looks at practices we once had from a new perspective because we're mature, we're in a different frame of mind. The ebb is beautiful. The ebb is just as valuable as the flow. So when we're out of flow, celebrate that you're in the ebb. Celebrate that the ebb is all life. It's all life. And it's all helping us to transform into the people we're becoming every single moment of the day. We're not the same people we were just from the beginning of this talk. We're not the same people we were this morning when we first woke up. We're not the same people we were yesterday, and we're not going to be the same people tomorrow because we're experiencing life and we're reflecting and growing and we're deepening within ourselves and we're deepening within each other and within the divine. I point up here, but I also point here because the divine is within as well as everywhere. And we continue to grow and heal and transform and become. It's this beautiful becoming when we look at not just what we like about life when we're in the flow and we celebrate all of that, but when we look at the ebb and we say, yeah, I want to see what you have to show me. And we look at the ebb and we really study it. And then the more we do that, the more tools we have for every single ebb that happens. And we might just find that we're in flow a little bit more often than ebb, but we're not afraid of the ebb. We're actually encouraged by the ebb. Yay, I get to do. There's something that needs my attention and I'm ready for it. I want to be able to do it. But when we have those moments when maybe we're not really ready or we don't really have the courage to look at the ebb, we have our spiritual practices. We choose to live a life that is in alignment with our values. And we lean into our spiritual communities to help support us when we need that. We deepen our faith and then we start to be able to find the ebb and the value in it. And always, 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 no judgment, no criticism, no evaluation of the fact that the ebb is happening, no evaluation of the fact that maybe we're not quite ready to look at it yet. Simply recognizing that it's there and changing that perception from there's something wrong, I'm in an ebb, to wow, I'm in an ebb. And sitting with that for a little while, then looking at it really helps us to move forward in everything we're trying to do in our lives. So many beautiful benefits to the flow. So many wonderful things come in on the flow, but so many wonderful things come in on the ebb that we can't see when we're in flow. So my hope for you today, and my hope for myself today and every single day for all of us, is that we can step back and really appreciate when we're in the flow, but really become excited for when the ebb happens and appreciate the beautiful, beautiful things that we can only see when the tide has moved away. And grounding and rooting our practices in God, in the divine, in the universe, and within ourselves, and knowing that we're all okay because it's all life. Everything is changing. The only constant is change. So don't fear the ebb because the flow will come back around. Embrace the ebb while you have it Embrace the flow when you have it. But remember that the only constant is change. And we're always transforming and evolving and becoming. And we can truly, deeply become to our full capacity when we embrace all of it. And that includes the ebb. So on the day you wake up and you just are dropping everything and you're stumbling and your hair doesn't look good and your clothes are all beat up and stained and you have to run into the store, and that's the one day that the people you don't need to see you, it's okay. It's an ebb. It's just a momentary thing. It's going to shift around. When you wake up and you don't feel well, it's just an ebb. But look at it. Maybe what's being shown is it's time to rest. It's time for self-care. Whatever that might be. Look at that. Look, I'm looking down, imagining that I'm looking at the shoreline. The water is coming in, the water is going out, and it's going farther out and farther out, and I see more and more of the shoreline. So when you have that happen, take a deep breath and just say yes to the ebb. Thank you. And now let us take a few moments for some guided meditation. Feel yourself coming into your seat. You can lie back, you can sit, whatever is most comfortable for you. Close your eyes. Feel yourself connecting with yourself. Take a couple long, deep breaths. See the stillness within. And then from that still place, connect with your mind's eye. And in your mind's eye, see the ocean. Everywhere you look, there's water, and it's gently moving. It's beautiful. It's blue or green. Smell the salty air. Maybe you see that it's bright and sunny, and maybe even hear some birds off in the distance. Connect with the ocean, connect with the water. Constant motion, but it's calm, constant motion. And then you begin to follow the water and you make your way over toward the water's edge. And you see that there's a wave that goes in toward the shore and then it comes back. And it goes in toward the shore and it comes back. And you drift your way over toward the shore and you find yourself standing at the water's edge and you're watching the water come toward you and go away from you. You're just watching, coming toward you and away from you. Take a deep breath and deeply appreciate the flow of the water, the smell of the air, the feel of the sun on your skin, the sounds that you might hear. Maybe even taste the air. And then you look down. And as you're looking down, you're watching the water come up around your feet, your ankles, and you're watching the water go. And you're watching the water come up toward you, and then you're watching the water go. You're watching the flow, and you're watching the ebb. And with each ebb, you're noticing that the water's going farther out, a little farther out, and a little farther out with each ebb. And as you're looking down, what do you see? What do you see? Just take a few moments to gaze down at the earth around your feet. Maybe you start to walk in either direction and you just wander. Do you see rocks and shells and stones, sand? Do you see little creatures moving around? Do you see bubbles? What do you see? And breathe your breath. Have that sense of curiosity. What is the ebb showing you that you didn't see a moment ago in the flow? And maybe you bend down and you look a little closer. You're rooted in your practice, in your sense of self, and in your unique partnership with the divine as you know it. Be curious. What do you see? And commit to yourself now that for every time you experience ebb, you'll find curiosity. You'll stop and take a deep breath and look down and ask yourself, what do I see? What is the ebb showing me? What is the flow bringing me, but what is the ebb also showing me? And remember that it is life. You are life. And then maybe you reach down into that space that you see there and you pick up something from the earth. Maybe it's a shell, maybe it's a stone, maybe it's a little stick. Pick up something in your mind's eye and hold it close. You can even pick it up with your hand in your mind and hold it close. And let this be your reminder. Let this be your reminder of the beauty of the ebb. Be with this symbol that lives within yourself for a few more moments. And then bring your hands together and open your eyes. Namaste. And now let us pray. This is a prayer of Henry Nouwen. Dear Lord, today I thought of the words of Vincent van Gogh. It is true there is an ebb and flow, but the sea remains the same. You are the sea. Although I experience many ups and downs in my emotions and often feel great shifts and changes in my inner life, you remain the same. Your sameness is not the sameness of a rock, but the sameness of a faithful lover. Out of your love, I came to life. By your love, I am sustained, and to your love, I am always called back. There are days of sadness and days of joy. There are feelings of guilt and feelings of gratitude. There are moments of failure and moments of success, but all of them are embraced by your unwavering love. My only real temptation is to doubt in your love, to think of myself as beyond the reach of your love, to remove myself from the healing radiance of your love. To do these things is to move into the darkness of despair. O Lord, sea of love and goodness, let me not fear too much the storms and winds of my daily life, and let me know that there is ebb and flow, but that the sea remains the sea. Amen.
I've seen my share of struggle when I thought that I knew best, when I sailed through the storm instead of stopping to rest. And it always seems the hardest when I've made up my stubborn mind. Well, I'm changing my ways this time. Wanna be like water coming down a mountain in the shadowy canyons, flowing from pool to stream. Wanna be like water, head uphill no more. I am bound for the sea. Have you ever seen an eagle head straight into the wind? He doesn't pick a fight, spreads his wings and just gives in. And in the end he always makes it home just fine. I guess he knows that every storm subsides. Wanna be like water coming down a mountain in the shadowy canyons, flowing from pool to stream. Wanna be like water, head uphill no more. I am bound for the sea. I'll let nature take its course. No more thinking that I know where this river's meant to go. I have railed against the stars for the cards that I've been dealt, for the lottery I've never won, for the heartache that I've felt. But it always seems when I let go of expectation and regret, life has plenty of surprises for me. Yeah. Wanna be like water coming down a mountain in the shadowy canyons, flowing from pool to stream. Wanna be like water, head uphill no more. I am bound for the sea. Wanna be like water coming down a mountain in the shadowy canyons, flowing from pool to stream. Wanna be like water, head uphill no more. I am bound for the sea.
Thank you so much, Reverend Nicole, for sharing your heart-centered wisdom and telling us about the ebb and flow of life. I know your message resonated for me on so many levels. And I want to thank you for your wonderful music, Dave Sands. Much appreciated. And thank all of you for your presence here today at our Sacred Awakening Sunday gathering. We hope to see you in a minute in our after gathering chat. Namaste.